Aloha, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about Disney Pixar's Cars franchise, as Cars 3 is coming out this weekend. I haven't had a chance to see Cars 3 yet, but while I was here at home, I did throw on Cars and Cars 2, give them another look for maybe next weekend I get out and see Cars 3. And I wanted to share a few thoughts about the Cars franchise in general, because I've heard from Disney Pixar fans that this is often people's least favorite Pixar franchise. The least favorite Pixar movie is Cars or Cars 2, in particular Cars 2. I guess it's the kind of thing where you like it or you don't. I think it has a lot to do with the gimmick of it being like a world populated by living cars, which doesn't bother me at all. I kind of get where they get that from. A lot of people for years have kind of attributed personalities and human characteristics to their cars, and this is just an extension of that, as I see it. Just one of those natural human tendencies to give human characteristics to inanimate objects, and we often have somewhat personal connections to our vehicles. So yeah, I get where they're coming from there. And another thing I think a lot of people have said, particularly about Cars 2, that they don't like Mater. They don't like him as character, and they didn't like that he was the lead in the second film. I love Mater. I'm sorry, I just love that character. So I guess it's another, you either like him or you don't. I don't know. But the Cars franchise, it has a lot of heart. I'm not going to put them top tier absolute favorites for Pixar movies. As for that, I have to go with The Incredibles and Finding Nemo. But they're pretty close to the top tier for me, the Cars movies. Again, they have a lot of heart. The first one, it's all about what's really important in life. You start off with Lightning McQueen, who believes that winning is what's important. He believes that that's how you get the fame and the fortune and the glory and the big sponsorship deals and the hordes of adoring fans, and that's what he thinks that life is all about. That's what he wants out of life. And he sees two other racers that are in, they're tied with him for the championship, and it comes down to those three. The first being the one known as the King, voiced by Richard Petty, who is the old retiring champion. He's been there, he's lived the life that Lightning McQueen wants. But when he does talk to Lightning McQueen, he does give him some advice that, what he's looking for is not how it works. He's trying to tell him that it's not all about you. It's what's really important is not you beating everybody else and winning. What's important are the people or cars you surround yourself with. He's telling him to get a good team. He's really telling him that you need people around you that you can trust, that you care about. And that's the lesson that he has to learn. And then the other racer he's tied with is Chick Hicks. It's another racer, less talented than Lightning McQueen. It's taken him a lot longer to get to this position, but he's chasing the same dream as Lightning McQueen, and he's been chasing it so long, he's much more bitter about it. And he's willing to do anything, race dirty, cheat, stab people in the back to get what he wants. And that's the road that Lightning finds himself on. He's going to become Chick Hicks if he doesn't take the King's advice. And he gets arrested in a small town on the way to the final race called Radiator Springs, and is forced to do community service there. And while there, he learns about what I would call the spirit of Radiator Springs, which is this way of life. It's a small town way of life, so it's a slower way of life, a more introspective way of life, where what's important is not yourself. It's not all about you. It's about the the family, the community, the people that you surround yourself with. That's what it's all about. And people there live for each other. They don't live for themselves. They don't live to win. And he meets Doc Hudson, who was a race car driver, much like the King, a legend like the King. He was the Hudson Hornet back in his day, but he found that life is very fickle. That life of a championship racer, because there's no drivers in this world. That life of a championship racer is very fickle, because he got into a big crash. It took him out of commission for a long time, and when he was finally recovered, the racing world had moved on. There was no place for him. So he found Radiator Springs. He was forced out of the racing life and found the spirit of Radiator Springs, the spirit of living slowly for what's really important in life. And you have other characters that have done that too. Sally, who was the big city lawyer, who just tired of that life and found Radiator Springs. But then you also have Mater, who just embodies that spirit of Radiator Springs. I mean, he's a tow truck. He tows cars that break down. He helps others that are in need, and he's always willing to provide a tow or a friend, whatever you need. And he very quickly declares Lightning McQueen his new best friend. Apparently, Lightning McQueen kind of needed it, even though Lightning was kind of a jerk to everybody else around. I love that character. I mean, they depict him as kind of a bumpkin, but I don't care, because where his heart is at all the time. I just think that is a fantastic character. So, if you disagree with me, I understand, but I love the character. So, he learns through his experience in Radiator Springs that it's not about winning. So that when he finally does get to the big race, and I know I didn't say spoiler warning at the beginning of this. I'll put it in the notes. But we get to the big race. It's so great. He wins in the end by losing. He gets to the big race, and he learns that the chick has crashed the King in order to get ahead, but Lightning is way ahead of both of them at that time, and he sees the King crashed, and he realizes that what's more important than winning is helping the King, giving him the dignity of finishing his last race. And so he stops, goes back, pushes the King to a victory, which allows Chick Hicks to take the win. And what we see is that the crowd, the spectators, the commentators, everybody adores Lightning McQueen for this act of sportsmanship. They are practically ignoring the winner and champion, Chick Hicks. Chick Hicks is finally getting the win that he's always wanted, and nobody cares, because he didn't care about the people around him. And I think that's a fantastic message. I mean, I love that. And then we move on to Cars 2, where it becomes an homage to spy movies. I get that too. In spy movies, very often the gadget-laden spy car was a very important feature of the movie. So I get it. It relates to cars. And spy movies are fun. They're fun, they're action-packed, and I enjoyed it. And my favorite character from the first one is the lead now. So, yeah, I think I like Cars 2 even more, even though that many people say that's the worst Pixar film ever. I really like it. And what I think is interesting about Cars 2 is everybody will tell you that a movie has to have your main character go on a journey, go through an arc. That the character shouldn't end the movie in the same place that he begins. For example, in the first Cars movie, Lightning McQueen starts off as this winning obsessed, rather selfish character, and he learns to become a more well-rounded character by the end. Learns to allow other people in his life to be more giving, and to care about more than just winning. And that's a character arc, and that's great. But where Lightning McQueen ends up, Mater was born into that. I mean, he embodies that. So Mater really didn't have that lesson to learn. So I think it's also interesting not only to see a character learn lessons like that, but to also see a character who already knows that, who's already learned that lesson, be put to the test. And that's what Cars 2 does. Mater ends up following Lightning McQueen on a World Grand Prix as part of his team, but gets sidetracked and pulled when he's into a spy caper when he's mistaken for an American spy. And throughout the movie, the spies think that he's playing the fool as part of his cover. Other characters are just accusing him of being a rube, of just not fitting in, of not knowing how the rest of the world works. And the thing is that Mater, for the most part, I mean, he doesn't care what other people think of him. He just does what he does. And it's not even so much that he doesn't care what other people think of him. It never occurs to him that other people could think poorly of him. And not because he's self-obsessed or anything, but it's because he just has such an optimistic view of other people. I mean, he never thinks that other people would think poorly of him, because he thinks other people are just are happy to meet and be with other people and be friends with them. It never occurs to them that they might be put off by someone with different ways, like his ways. I mean, he goes into like Japan and he doesn't fit in. He doesn't practice their ways. But I mean, he never judges anyone for doing things their way. I mean, he doesn't understand their ways, but he doesn't really. It doesn't bother him. I mean, he is just such an accepting, just friendly to everyone he meets character. And this spirit that he has, this kind of naive, innocent spirit, is put to the test when everyone's telling him that he's wrong. Everyone's telling him that it's bad. And and eventually it gets to him, and eventually he starts to question himself. He starts to doubt himself. And by the end, though, as he's starting to doubt himself, people are realizing that the people around him realize that we're in danger of losing something very special. This spirit that Mater embodies, I mean, it could be lost in him. And they realize that it actually is valuable, more valuable than what they're trying to force Mater to become. And so they start to accept Mater, and Mater then, his doubts are put aside, and he ends up saving the day. And one of the things that I love, and I remember in the commentary they pointed this out too, is that there's this spy theme for anytime the spies are doing something cool. There's this spy theme that plays. And then in the end, when it's Mater's turn to shine, Mater's got the idea that's going to save the day, and he goes into action. They play that spy theme for Mater, and now it's being played with a banjo. Perfect for it's Mater's version of the spy theme, and that's perfect for him. I love that. So I mean, these are good movies. I mean, Pixar always makes good movies. I mean, some people have said that these are Pixar's only failures. I don't see them as failures. I think they're great. If you're interested, my least favorite Pixar movies are probably like A Bug's Life and Brave, but they're still good movies. I mean, Pixar knows what they're doing. And anyway, I'm hoping to see Cars 3 maybe next weekend. And maybe I'll be able to give you some additional thoughts on the Cars franchise then. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and that's a wrap.